Well, and Alan and I have talked about this in our letters back and forth, that comics is such an amazing medium. It allows you to have a really large canvas of time and space. And a thing that I was always bothered by when it came to depictions of, specifically about the Salem witchcraft trials, was in movies and in TV shows and miniseries and things like that, is how everything is changed for budget reasons. Sometimes characters are combined, or it all takes place in one building and it all takes place in one day. People are being hauled in front of the authorities in the same building in which they are being tried in later, which I thought was a big disservice to the story work, because these people are being hauled in this kind of rural thatched roofed meeting house in Salem Village to be questioned. But then a court of dubious legality called the Court of Oyer and Terminer is begun by Sir William Phipps, the newly appointed governor of Massachusetts, who was an illiterate treasure hunter, who was made fun of in a book by Daniel Defoe, actually, funny enough, right before he became governor of Massachusetts. And so now the trials are taking place in Salem town, which is now the city of Salem. And it's a much more opulent, mercantile, well-to-do, bustling city. And so the building now that they're in is huge, and in other forms you just don't get that procession of everything is getting bigger and bigger and more serious, and these people are being hauled in front of it's not a kangaroo court, it's not people with pitchforks, and it's the most sophisticated court you could get at that time. It's all these wealthy, Harvard-educated, landowning gentlemen with lovely big oil paintings of themselves, and they're taking for granted the babblings of prepubescent girls, under this idea that the invisible world is, these people have given the devil permission to, come and afflict them in their likeness, and it's, and also there's so many different people, and if you're just reading it in a book, I've had so many history books dealing with everybody. And it's 17th century Puritan New England. Everyone's name is John and Mary, and the names kind of congeal a little bit. So I really wanted to give each person a specific design and a specific face. And that was a thing that I really enjoyed doing on the bumper book with Alan, which was basically you're looking at the script and you're going, all right, I have to figure out who, there's some pictures of Roger Bacon. There's a statue in this place, and there's an engraving in this place. They both look like completely different people. You have to come to terms with, you have to design your own Roger Bacon, knowing that at the end I will be doing caricatures of William Burroughs and Ian here, who we know what they look like. So you have to do caricatures near the end. So at the beginning you have to have an idea, your own idea of who, Paracelsus or, Hermes Trismegistus, or, figure out who they look like and then do a caricature of that so that there's a kind of continuity as you go. So More Weight really prepared me for that kind of thinking. Because there's no portraits of any of the victims. We don't really know what they look like. So it was good to kind of give them a face for me, but also for other descendants, who maybe picture their ancestors with green skin or don't really have any. I kind of thought of these as kind of duck decoys, Okay, Charles Corey maybe didn't look like how I drew him, but, you don't need to go hunting the cemeteries for his ghost. You've got my version of him. You've got some sort of graven image to have, I suppose.
Might I say on this point that for me, and this is purely personal point, but one of the most affecting sections of more white was where you got an image of 17th century Fitch Street in Northampton.
Yeah.
That you had researched so well that it is, that's the real value of this research and trying to get it just right. It's sort of, I've completely accepted the reality of that pattern and thus of the whole story. You know, it's, and I suppose that is something that you wouldn't have been able to do other than in comics. You know, you need that visual element there to actually reinforce the reality of these stories that you tell.
Did you notice at the end of Sheep Street, the severed heads up top there? Did you notice, Alan, that one of them has a stone in his eye?
I know, yeah, the voice of the fire,
Yeah.
the heads and stuff like that. Yes, that was a very, very nice touch.
Yeah.
So, possibly I would be one of the few people in the universe who would actually chortle at that. You know,
That's my nod to you.
It was worth it.
Do you have any other questions? Ian?